You have built a business on coconut. Is it possible to build a business of that scale in 2025, sir?
People want to dream big, but no feet on the ground. The right to win can only come out of some disruption. You can't run a Me Too business.
What makes a financial separation harder, sir?
One big problem is that people are wanting to get responsibility. They don't want accountability. When money comes in, the greed comes in.
If you study acquisitions, most of the acquisitions fail.
Most acquisitions fail because of integration issues. You acquire something and then you make so many changes, the existing good talent will leave, and you also don't have experience in managing that, and then you ultimately suffer.
Do you think Indian middle class is shrinking?
People have lost a lot of money in stock markets, and they also have borrowed money to taking their monthly budget away.
What's the biggest threat to Marico in 2025?
I would not.
The young kid sees you in the top 1,000 wealthiest people on the planet. I want to know some actionable steps that you do in Marico which leads to a good culture.
Whenever we had innovated in our businesses, we succeeded and removed the fear of failure. Because the biggest deterrent to innovation is
there are very less companies that come up with real insights and then build great businesses.
you need to have an idea what you want to do inciting on. You may have something on hair care or skin care or food, and then go deeper and deeper.
So this is a stupid question, so please, bear with me. I wonder if people won't have hairs, they won't apply hair oil.
On the contrary, if we can convince people to apply oil, it will not lead to hair loss.
Tell me, which cooking oil do you use?
So
No.
Hi everyone, I'm your host Shivank and we are part of the 01 Network by Zerodha. Together, we intend to bring you insights from the top thinkers in the field of entrepreneurship, technology and investing.
Let's say a young, very ambitious young folk comes to you and say that he or she wants to get rich, he or she wants to create a value, which you have done that.
okay.
How do you think he or she should approach that? Is it possible to build a business of that scale in 2025, sir?
It is possible. I think depending on what kind of business you're building, it's possible. There is no limit to growth. But before growing, a lot of people I know, they want to dream big, but no feet on the ground. You have to dream big, but your feet has to be on the ground. You should have a viable plan to reach that 10,000 crore, for which you need a very strong right to win. The right to win can only come out of some disruptions you are doing in terms of technology disruptions or something unique you're doing, or some pioneering business you're doing. But if you have the same thing which others are doing, it'll be very difficult for you to build that business. Scale, size by itself doesn't convey what value you're creating, Size has to be combined with profitability, I can do a 10,000 crore business by just trading into commodities, buying, selling, I can do easily. But the margins will be, I may not be able to make, not even 1%, you may not make any margins. No point going after growth for the sake of going after growth. I think growth has to be sustainable, it has to be profitable. And for that, you need some necessary building blocks. In our case, the building blocks are the brands, innovations, pioneering initiatives, and entering areas where we could win compared to, say, MNC, where they were present, like shampoos or conditioners and all, where we didn't go. So I think identifying the right categories, how will you win in the marketplace, be the first, or be something differentiated, or depending on the kind of business, identify it could be some technology or leveraging which others are not doing. But the key thing is you have to be differentiated. You can't run a Me Too business.
Two things, sir. The young kid sees you in the top 1,000 wealthiest people on the planet. Do you think the only way to create that much value of wealth creation for yourself is through build a business?
First of all, I don't want youngsters to say that I want to be the wealthiest. To me, it's not important. I think the key thing is to build a business which is sustainable, which is profitable, and which will give you that joy, because money beyond a point doesn't matter, In the initial stages when you don't have any money, of course, you need a good house, you need a car, you can travel. But beyond that, my lifestyle has not changed. It remains same only, irrespective of whether my market cap goes from X to Y, So I think the youngsters should realize that they should not chase money. They should get businesses which are which are unique, which are profitable, which create value not only for themselves, but all the stakeholders. And the joy you get out of that is much more than just being on the rich list, So rich list is not an end by itself.
After what amount of wealth, your lifestyle becomes stagnant.
Once the basics are there, like house, traveling, basic comforts, I'm not a kind of person who wants to own a plane, for example. Some people may want to do that, but I am not that kind of person, So for me, it's normal spending. I'm not saying splurge money, but enjoy wealth to such an extent that, okay, you are a trustee of the society when you are wealthy, You have to give wealth to the others, It's not something which you have to splurge and, spend the money, That's my mindset.
Do you think, sir, so for example, you have built a business on coconut, right? Majority of the thing, which is...
Now it's much less, 30% of our business,
Right.
coconut.
But when you started, coconut is something that, again, it's an auspicious fruit.
Yes.
Everybody likes it. Oil is something that, everybody used to, put on their hairs or use for cooking. How do you find a category which can be so big in 2025? Anybody who's starting young, how can he look
So I think for that you have to dig deep. Maybe at that time, the category which we entered was not that large. It has grown over a period of time. But one has to look at, okay, if you want to enter consumer products, for example, is that the one business you want to do? Then penetration levels of different consumer products in the Indian population. Urban, rural, different income levels. You just need to target where you want to be. For example, in certain categories, the penetration is lower, like skincare. So the market may grow much more as the penetration increases. We can compare the penetration rates of Indian
households
versus global. So cooking oil, soaps, all the penetration levels are very high today. Almost everybody uses coconut oil soaps,
Right.
But a skincare cream, maybe the penetration levels are in the range of 10-20%. Shampoo also is increased. But there are many opportunities where the penetration level is much, much lower, and that with India growing, it will lead to increased market size. Similarly, foods also. There is huge conversion happening within foods. At-home cooking. People want to buy snacks ready-made rather than cook. Earlier, you used to cook snacks and keep it at home. Now it's convenient. You just buy snacks and have it, So whole category of snacks business has just grown, whether it's potato chips or chevda or whatever else.
This is very interesting way of looking at opportunities, sir. But there can be two thoughts on this. Number one, is the overarching field where the trend that where you see that people are moving towards packaged foods. And one trend you can see that as people are getting more educated, they want to get away from processed or packaged foods.
Correct. So that's a trend. You have to look at the global trends. The global trend is towards natural. So whether it's personal care or foods, I think people are moving towards these 3-4 trends which are global trends. And it's going to increase all the health awareness and all. And with COVID coming in, immunity came in. People want to be far more stronger and immune from diseases and things like that. So these are the trends. You have to go on looking at the trends. You have to look at what are the technologies impacting us. You have to look at the geopolitical developments. And depending again on your strengths, you just need to decide where are the opportunities.
Is there a very unique trend that you've recently figured out in life?
I can't think of recently, but the trend I've talked about, which were there when I went to US about maybe 7-8 years back, I saw all these trends, about natural, organic, and we knew that it was a matter of time. It will come. So then you take steps. You have to bet on the future of India, saying that, okay, globally health has become very high in terms of awareness. It is a matter of time it will come to India, which has come now. And partly because of COVID, it led to accelerating that trend,
And everything which will happen in evolved or, evolved markets, is it true that it will happen in India also, sir?
By and large, most of them are global trends. Most of them. Even technology, if you see, technology gets developed in maybe US, China. It's come EV or whether it is AI or digital or robotics. It's all a matter of time. Robotics has to come to India over a period of time.
So here's the second situation. There is an entrepreneur who wants to set up, let's say, anything. The biggest thing for them to set up that biggest hindrance is to get an approval from the government. And there is some red tapeism.
Not so much. And now most of the most depending on what you want to enter, depending on what you're getting into. If you're getting into, say, drones,
Right.
it is highly regulated because it has impact on defense and all that. But on FMCG, especially the sectors we are in, we don't need to go to government at all.
When I was researching for the interview, I spoke to a lot of folks. And one thing that people mentioned about you, which increased a lot of respect for you in my eyes, was about the integrity. And there are times when entrepreneurs, like for example, they have to set up a factory.
Yes.
And to set up that factory, they need to pay huge amounts of bribes, right?
It's gone down quite a lot, but you don't need to now, If you basically you're doing it governance, you have to be very high on governance from the time you start business. So you should not start taking shortcuts. It may take a little longer time, but ultimately you should do a proper job. It's not going to put you back,
India is a very family-oriented society. And there are lots of family businesses.
Yes.
Over the years, what are some common trends you have seen, common trends of problems in family businesses? And what's the advice you often find yourself giving to these folks?
So I think families are complex, because you are connected to each other by a blood. It could be father and children. It could be grandfather, uncles, grandchildren. So depending on how many family members are there in the family and what are their relationships within the family, you will have to address that issue. The magnitude of the issue will depend on how large is the family, or how many businesses the family is running, how are the relationships within the family, how are the ambition levels, how are the capability levels, because there will always be a conflict between relationships, meritocracy, versus in family, it will be assumed that the seniors will be higher than you. So I think there is a conflict between, so what is good for business, the family has to define. And within the family, large family, there will be different individuals, may have different skills. And one will have to decide who will, if they are part of one organization, one business, who will head the business? Will it be the most senior person? Will it be the most capable person? So I think those dynamics and those family issues are very, very crucial, and they have to be dealt very carefully. And I think the head of the family has an important role to play to ensure that the family remains united. One way of doing that is if you can just break the business into different companies. And my viewpoint is that put one family member in charge of one business, then that person, you will test that person out in terms of the capability, in terms of ensure what are the results of this company. And the ownership is together, but the management is divided, So all the businesses, say a group there are 5 companies, there are 5 brothers. Each per brother looks after one business. This is one model. I'm not saying this is the right model. But the moment that is there, then you can hold that person accountable. But the profits of each and every business are divided the same 5 ways,
But there will be a situation where one of the businesses is doing good.
Yes.
It's contributing more.
That doesn't mean that that person who is doing that gets extra
Pro rata.
No, that will never work in a family. Never ever work.
So then how will you solve it? Because the guy who's contributing
So
more.
you have to look at it. There are benefits of being together. You have to look at it, okay, I am doing my best. I'm part of the family. Because the other side is if I separate from the family, will I be able to separate? If the others don't agree, what will happen? Everything we'll go on fighting all our lives. So you have to take a call whether, and ideally speaking, the family head should decide whether, or family head and the family council, how things will be managed in future. But to say that I've built a business and that's why I should, or have a business which is making far higher profits compared to other family businesses, and because of that I should get entitled to higher share, that never works.
Can you give me an example of the exact family issue that you had in your early days? And what was the dynamic and how did you solve that most important dynamic, sir?
My father had 3 brothers, so 4 of them. And I was the eldest my father was the eldest.
Okay.
I was the eldest from the next generation to enter business. After that, 4 of my cousins entered business. So there were 9 family members, me, my father, his 3 brothers, and 5 of us.
Right.
So it was very difficult to operate in that environment because, everybody was, and most of the work was in 1 or 2 companies only. So they were like too many family members and, there was no clear responsibility. And the one big problem with the family is that your responsibility and accountability. People are wanting to get responsibility. They don't want accountability. You have to be accountable, for what you do. And the reason I was saying about each person heading one business is that you combine responsibility with accountability. Because you are given responsibility and you're the only family member, you are accountable for that. So then again, it was very frustrating for me to work in the family of managed organization. And I was able to convince my cousins, and we all 5 of us formed, and we spent about a year or so in terms of what should we be doing. And we went it to the elders, and then again took some time to deliberation and to convince them. But that led to demerging the consumer products business and 3 other businesses into different entities.
And everybody agreed?
There were some resistances, but finally there was a consensus. And each youngster took charge of one company, So it was again, it was not a financial separation. It was a management separation.
Still, the family is...
No, after that, there was some, after a few years, 5-6 years, there was a difference of opinion, then led to a financial separation.
What makes a financial separation harder, sir?
Because then money comes in, and when money comes in, the greed comes in. Greed comes in, people don't behave rationally.
Even your family members?
Bound to. After all, we are all human beings,
So how do you come over that greed, sir?
So I think you need to follow the right process, in terms of how are you going to divide that business. There has to be right process in terms of valuing the business, in terms of who will take over what. And I think we have to follow a certain process to ensure that we do it in the right manner, where everybody feels fair, and that the separation was done on a win-win basis, that everybody is happy in terms of win-win. Yeah, if in that separation, if you feel lost out, if I feel win and you are lose, then it will not work out,
So you are at a very unique position where you have the pulse of what's going on in the business, but you're not involved in the day-to-day.
As of today, no. Yeah,
Yes.
You're right.
So I want to understand, what are some actionable steps? What have you done? What is the process
Yes.
in which allows you to have a pulse,
Yes.
but not involve yourself on day-to-day basis?
So I think, as I say, it's hands off, mind on.
Yeah.
Hands are off. On a day-to-day basis, nothing comes to, but mind is on. For mind to be on, you have to get a lot of information of what is happening in the organization.
Okay.
So I get monthly from my managing director's team, every month a report, this marketing, sales, supply chain, manufacturing, commodities, HR, finance, internet. I get a monthly report, which gives me all the information.
Okay.
Once I get that, I have a review meeting where I don't ask them to make presentation. It's taken as read. And based on whatever I read, if I have to add something, if I think that they can do something more or less, I have a session with them. It takes 2 hours.
That's it.
Once a month. But it is preceded by a lot of reading prior to it. And so that's one way of, so you're continuously aware of what's happening through this internal monthly reports. And then on top of that, without an agenda, I travel to international markets. Once a year, I go to international markets and they make a presentation to me how that particular market is doing, big international market. Then twice a year, I go to R&D center in terms of what are we doing in the area of new products, technology. So, but these are structured interventions. In addition to the unstructured, if I'm going to, so for example, I went to Bangalore last year. Last week, I went to the market, met the field force, but without any agenda. I captured whatever insights, shared with them, after that coming to head and marketing or head of marketing and sales, shared with my managing director. So my mindset is not so much control orientation, it is more value addition.
Very interesting.
I also do skip level meetings with those who are reporting to my managing director, so that if there's an issue, I can capture that. I spend a lot of time in board management also. So I think you have to find your ways to capturing information and getting basically a good feel of how the business is being done. And partly because I built the business, it's very easy for me to pinpoint and, get into the key issues,
Very interesting. And do you have dilemmas right now, sir, in life?
There could be business dilemmas.
I'm talking about dilemmas in life because I believe life is a bigger thing.
Okay, what next? So, my dilemmas are, okay, at what stage should I completely withdraw from business?
Okay.
Should I withdraw or not?
Okay.
If I withdraw, who will take over from me? Because now it's become a completely professionally managed organization. So I don't see that family managed coming in. So my son, can he become the chairman after me? So, and when will he become, So I think that's one set of dilemma, which is, and by and large, I am aware of what I should be doing, but the exact timing I may not have as of now.
Any other dilemmas in life, sir?
How do I improve my golf?
That's a dilemma. That's a common dilemma.
I am not able to improve my golf. I don't know why, but it's going down. When it's very frustrating in a good game like golf, if you don't play well.
What about getting a good coach?
I tried, but it's not yet. A lot of it is mental actually in golf, So moment you go into, say, a hole, which is like a fairway. If it is very narrow, then, if you don't hit a straight ball will go out of bounds. Then you start getting worried. And because you're scared, it'll exactly do why you're scared, whatever you're scared about, So things like that,
I really want to know the deepest desires that you have in life right now. So let's say a genie comes to you and say, I'll get you whatever you want. The three things. What are those three things that you will ask?
I think I want to create an impact, okay?
Okay.
Not in terms of making money, creating an impact in giving something back. So whether it's I mentor entrepreneurs, I am running an ASCENT, which is for helping entrepreneurs scale up, or running a mental health organization, or we are taking a big initiative in Andhra Pradesh in terms of recycling of plastic. So basically I want to make a bigger impact.
Right.
That will propel me into being a thought leader in these areas.
Okay.
So can I be a thought leader in whatever my passions are, which is entrepreneurship, innovation, mentoring, and also recycling of plastics.
What are other two things that you will ask that you really, really want in life, but you don't know how to get them?
Just some peace of mind, My mind is very overactive,
Okay.
I go on thinking a lot. I tried doing meditation, breathing, but still an overactive mind they say it's not good. You have to but physically I'm very fit, I exercise every day, 365 days a year. I've had some injuries, so I'm beginning to think that, okay, is it because of old age or because of just sheer bad luck? Yeah.
Are there any things that you have learned about aging, sir? Because you have grandchildren, you observe those young people, you have a lot of young people working for you.
Yeah.
You are now 72.
I'll be 74.
You're 74. What have you figured about old age? Are there certain things that you really, really want to do, but your age is not allowing you to do?
No, I am able to do, except of course I can't go on running and I can't do some very active sports. But otherwise, I don't think age is, mental faculty is absolutely alert. I forget names now because of ASAP. When I meet somebody, I can't, it comes ultimately, but at that particular point of time, I am not able to get the name. But that's okay, it's not a bit. But otherwise, I have not felt, shall I say, any impact of my age on whatever I want to do. I don't feel tired. I feel of the whole day I can walk. I can do easily 15, 20,000 steps a day walking.
Mm-hmm.
So not an issue at all.
I want to know about what are certain things that you are learning from your grandchildren, sir. Because I was just hearing that you love to spend time with them.
Yes.
What are certain things that you really, really want them to learn from you?
So one is, what am I learning from them? I think their cheerfulness, and they're always that, they're laughing. I think that's something which I really enjoy. They are very good at technology also, they're able to crack. If I have any problem, I call my granddaughter and she cracks it, So I think, but I'm not good at technology, I must say. What would they want to learn from me? I would say that I think I expose them, we play games and all that.
Yeah.
So basically, future, what they want to do, if they want to get in business, what they should be learning. We watch many times Shark Tank together. Then I ask them, when the Shark Tank is there, what would you invest in this company? So basically, culturally, if in a business family, your job is to create interest of youngsters in business. So when they come here, they stay in Dubai. When they come here, I take them to market visit. I took them to factory. I take them to R&D visit. I took them to some other factories or some other consumer product manufacturers, just to create their business mindset and how business is done. So that, and my granddaughter also started reading book after, she gave up after some time, but still, and she is all of 9 years only, or 10 now.
I want to know personally, Anju, what are some of the best consumer factories that you have visited, sir?
I'm not a factory person. I'm more a consumer, marketing, distribution. That's where I enjoy people.
Sir, I want to know this thing because, you speak a lot of things about culture.
Yes.
And culture, जब हम सुनते हैं ना सर किसी को भी बोलते हुए तो कुछ समझ में नहीं आता है.
Correct.
And it's a very vague definition. I want to know some actionable steps or certain processes
Yes.
that you do in Marico
Yes.
which leads to a good culture.
So I'll tell you a little bit more longer reply. When I started Marico, my job was, because before that, whenever we had innovated in our businesses, we succeeded. So we wanted to create an innovative culture. That was the desire, to build a culture. So how do you build an innovative culture? So first, you need to recruit talent, which is very good quality talent, which is diverse from different types of backgrounds, whether it's geographical diversity or gender diversity or educational diversity. And then you create a structure which is a very flat structure where people get empowered.
Right.
Because the structure of the hierarchy is limited. We created an open culture where people can talk to each other and approach each other directly rather than going through some organizational routes. We had a very high trusting company. We trusted people. There was no muster. There was no self-authorization or expenditure. So when you create a culture which is flat, diverse, open, trusting, that is the bedrocks for creating innovation. But that doesn't happen still. So for innovation, you need to expose your people to opportunities. So expose them to individuals who have thought differently, who have
How do you
built
do that?
businesses. You, for example, tomorrow I may call Piyush Bansal from Lenskart. Just not to say that we are going to go into that. How did they build the business? So these are, and from that some other thoughts may come in. Then we take them through creativity workshops. How do you think creatively? We do consumer insighting where we actually train people to do insighting and go into consumer's mind.
Okay.
So that's something else. And then the most important thing is remove the fear of failure. Because the biggest deterrent to innovation is the fear of failure. And it's okay to fail. Then that is the top management responsibility, to say that it's okay to fail. Don't be scared of failure and don't punish. If that person is not successful, don't punish that person by not giving him increment and all that, Because until you have failures, you will not have learning. And all the experiments you do will not result in a successful. So you have to remove the fear of failure. You have to encourage people to experiment, to take risks. And the whole thing is, how can you make your employees behave like owners, To me, that is summing up, in terms of cost management, in terms of innovation, risk-taking, agility. Because I think if all of us have an ownership mindset, and okay, it's owners, people think that you need to have a stake in it.
Right.
You need to have a financial stake, but you can do that without, at senior levels, you can give ESOPs and all that. But the larger challenge is how do you create an ownership mindset within professionals? And similarly, how can a owner behave like professionals, wherein things work on merits? Influence does not work. So, both professionals have to change and owners also have to change.
But how do you give ownership? For example, there is a guy in your organizations. How do you give them the feeling of ownership?
Clarity in terms of what is the role, empowerment. So, okay, this is my baby, I will do. I am getting freedom to do things provided I'm capable of. Like an owner, in this area, people will not interfere unnecessarily. I am getting a lot of freedom within a certain boundary of the organization. So, freedom, empowerment, will you take risk? I'm given a lot of freedom. And I think that I feel like an owner. If I'm able to achieve that particular thing which I'm supposed to achieve, I will get some good variable pay because it is measurable, whatever I'm supposed to do. So I should get, and that variable pay can be increased. And at senior levels, you get them stock options. If I have stock options, and if the company, if it is listed, share goes up, then I also get benefit from the appreciation in share prices.
So you spoke about inciting, right? There are very less consumer-facing companies that come up with real insights and then, build great businesses out of it. You've done that multiple times. I was, watching where you have given examples of Saffola oats and other things, how you first figured out that healthy things should be healthy.
Yes.
But they were not, scaling because they were not tasty.
Yes.
Can you give me example of how do you do consumer inciting?
So first of all, you need to have an idea what you want to do inciting on. You can't just go and I want to do it and inciting come to you. So you should be clear what do you want to find out from the consumer. You should put it down on a sheet of paper. It could be you may have some thing on hair care or skin care or food. So just overall thoughts on hair care, what is being used at home. You may get some ideas from there. What is their attitude to hair oiling, to shampooing, whatever else, how frequently they do. And then go deeper and deeper in terms of finding out, okay, what is appealing to you? Why using certain shampoo? If I give you a shampoo like this, compared to what you're using, will you buy it? What are the pros and cons? So you have to go deep into consumer's mind and do it in teams of two. Because normally one person may miss out on something else, and that person can also complementarily ask some more questions depending on how the consumer is reacting. So do it in teams of two with a basically high degree of clarity in terms of what you want to find out.
Is there a very recent consumer insight that you have got?
No, I don't think I have anything. Now that I don't have an operational role, I don't do consumer insighting, but I do trade insighting. I go into the shops and see what is happening at the trade level and all that. But trade is also undergoing a lot of transformation now with emergence of e-commerce, quick commerce, modern trade. So there is a lot of disruption in the selling environment also.
What's the trend that you are seeing there?
The trend is that, okay, I think each new segment, whether it is initially they started with modern stores like DMart and Reliance, and now then e-commerce started and now quick commerce started. So I think that's evolving, and we are seeing that more and more percentage of the total sales of FMCG companies are coming from these new channels, which require a different approach. You need a different type of team because the skills required to manage a distributor and a retailer are very different compared to, say, modern trade. You have to go and negotiate with, say, the heads of department stores,
Right.
or Q-commerce or e-commerce,
And is there any very insightful thing that you have observed about quick commerce, sir?
I think quick commerce is present currently in big cities.
Okay.
And I don't know to what extent will they be able to penetrate into small towns, because they have to be within a certain radius of the requirements. So whether the catchment will be large enough for them to have dark stores. I think it be more confined to, in my opinion, to big cities as well as state capitals. Beyond that, quick commerce may not be viable. This is my hunch as of today, but let's see what happens.
Do you see a model where people who have already stores, so for example, let's say Reliance, who has some stores, can deliver from those?
That is the mindset, but I don't think that is working out, because the culture required to service is very different, and then you may not have all the SKUs. You just do quick commerce and promote quick commerce in terms of promotion, this, that. And then in the main store, there are some other challenges of managing the store. The head office also looking at stores. So you need to have a dedicated kind of a mindset to succeed in Q-commerce. And this dual kind of thing, it has not worked so far, and it will be difficult for some people may be able to crack it, but it's difficult relatively. And you need more stores, because DMart stores they will, depending on the availability of real estate, all they will have. But your Q-commerce, you will have to have at a certain, maybe 30, 40 stores in Bombay just to help you to deliver within a short period of time.
So this one thing that I was observing, that when medium of communication changes, right, businesses also change. So for example, Marico as a brand was built on, newspaper ads, television ads. But right now, the entire media is changing.
Yes.
Everybody is not watching TV. Everybody is not watching a particular YouTube channel. Everything is getting fragmented.
You have to see what is your target audience and what kind of media are they exposed to. And depending on if it is youngster, it will be more digital. If it is older people, it will be more traditional media. So depending on is it urban, rural, what income age groups, depending on that, you will have to design your media strategy.
Are you also playing with new media strategy for new distributions?
We acquired 4 D2C brands, so they are all mainly sold through digital means, digital marketing.
Sir, I want to know the decision process that went behind acquiring, the 4.
So I would say decision process for acquisitions per se, I'll start with this. Say acquisition is a means to an end. It's not an end by itself. Why are you acquiring? You should be clear. For example, we acquired a brand for levers and ER. Our whole objective was to increase market share.
Okay.
We were 50%, they were 10%, and now with the acquisition, it becomes 60%. So far more dominant market player. We acquired a Medicare anti-lice shampoo from Procter & Gamble because we saw an opportunity in launching Medicare anti-lice oil. And we did that, and sales just increased because of the oil variant. We acquired 2 companies in Egypt, 3 companies in South Africa, 3 in Vietnam.
Right.
Because we wanted to enter those markets and we saw an opportunity in our areas of business, which is beauty and wellness. But they are different. In South Africa, we are in ethnic hair care. So we could not have built it on our own because the acquisition gave us an opportunity to grow in those businesses and be present in those markets also.
Can you tell me the story of the Indian businesses that you acquired? True Elements, Plix was there.
So now I'll talk about the D2C acquisitions, because India's FMCG sector until 5 years back was they were calling it a defensive sector where other outsiders found it difficult to enter because of big budgets needed for marketing a brand, whether it's television or press, and because of vast distribution. Now the distribution has changed because now you have to distribute through wholesalers, distributors, general trades, chemists, e-commerce, modern trade, now Q-commerce. So it's become, and some of the entry barriers to entering FMCG have got removed with the emergence of digital marketing and e-commerce selling places. So we've seen hundreds of D2C brands coming into composition. So now as a manufacturer, there are 2 ways of looking at it. One is, okay, it is going to impact our current business. So how do I protect? So we view it from a threat point of view.
Okay.
Another, of course, you have to view it from a threat point of view and take action to protect yourself. But can you also, where an opportunity here, where can you acquire some businesses and can you also launch, because this is something which you have to understand fully. So many D2C brands after a certain stage require omni
Presence.
so which means online as well as offline. So company like us, which is present offline, can also acquire and then use our skills in offline to manage that opportunity. So and many of them sold out because of that. And I think that we have managed to keep it separate. They are completely de-alienated from our current FMCG business because the mindset required to manage a D2C brand is very, very different. Far more younger talent, and they only look after D2C brand.
But how did you end up figuring out that these are the categories that, for example, Plix, pharma?
So basically our broad definition of businesses we want to go is beauty and wellness.
Okay.
So as long as it fits into that, so all our acquisitions are in beauty and wellness,
If you study acquisitions,
Yes.
there is a ratio that most of the...
They don't succeed. Yeah, you're right.
Why do you think that happens? And what are certain things that you do to ensure that it actually is a success?
Yeah, so I think when you try and impose whatever way you're doing things on the acquired company without understanding the culture in the organization, most acquisitions fail because of integration issues. You're not able to integrate that company's culture, people, the way they were doing business. You're force-fitting whatever you're doing based on your assumption. And that doesn't work out. Even if you want to change, you have to bring in gradual change, You don't want all of a sudden you acquire something and then you make so many changes, the existing good talent will leave.
Right.
And then you're left with some people who are not capable and you also don't have experience in managing that, and then you ultimately suffer. But if you took a hasten cautiously approach,
Right.
then you go cautious, you hasten, but the right pace, so that over a period of 3 to 5 years, you understand the business and then make those changes in people and culture. Yeah.
So, for example, how do you get those people, how do you absorb those people into the main organization, main culture?
So you have to see whether, because that can be done, but it'll take 3 to 5 years. If you have to change the culture of any organization, it takes 3 to 5 years by education, by telling them. So I think it needs a concerted effort to change. But it's a 3 to 5 year journey.
I was watching your recent interviews and you mentioned about understanding the genetic coding of a person.
Yes.
And you were talking about understanding genetic coding of a competitor and understanding how will the competitor behave in a particular situation.
Yes.
And you also call yourself a people's man. I want to know, how do you understand the genetic coding of a person?
So, for example, normally in large organizations, there are job rotations, there are new leaders coming in. I think the most important thing is genetic coding of the managing director of a company. You have to look at that past person's experience,
Uh-huh.
What are they good at? What are the background? For example, if a chartered accountant or finance person comes into a business as a CEO, normally the tendency is to grow by acquisitions. the tendency is to grow to improve margins. So how will it impact you is something you have to see. So depending on the background, you need to do research on that person to find out the genetic coding, what has been the past behavior and what will that person do once having assumed, because every person at the top wants to leave a certain footprint that, okay, I did something, a legacy.
Right.
So the legacy is to some extent influenced by what that person has done in the past, what that person's achievements are, if he has been very acquisitive in the past, whatever. Then you are getting all these clues that, okay, this fellow will do that. And you are able to plan because you are competing with that company in the marketplace. So you are able to visualize what will they do, and then, accordingly you can take action which will help you take the competitor.
Can you know a genetic coding of a person by interacting with him or her?
To some extent, but I think one needs to go a little deeper,
How do you do that?
If I knew that person, suppose if somebody was, I would try, and if I had known some ex-employees of that company, I would try and find out, okay, how is this person? Tell me what did he do well, what he didn't do well. So you have to do research. You have to sometimes interview people from that company, and many times people interview just to get some information, not to employ. People use that. So you have to go on trying, It's a continuous process of identifying what that person's strengths are and to determine genetic coding of that person. If he is speaking at some events, which is YouTube or something, then it will be there. You can make out what is my genetic coding by just listening to me,
Right. And how do you do that while you're talking to someone for the first time? For example, let's say if you're interviewing someone, what are certain things you ask? So for example, I ask, what are your deepest desires? What do you really want in life? What are you, motivated by? I get to learn a lot of things about that person from this question.
So I think, first of all, if it is a competitor, I think why you want to find out, you should be clear.
Okay.
And having said that, what are the competitors? How will it compete with you? Where will they take you on? So overall, what is the mindset about growth, profitability, organic, inorganic growth? If that person is open to share, if he can't share, then you will not know. And then find out which are the categories which excite that person in terms of skincare, hair care, food, whatever else, So you see what will impact you and what is this overall, what are the feelings about the talent, leadership styles. So, but this is provided that you are able to get information. Many times that person may not give. Then you have to find out the same thing through some other routes,
Very interesting. Sir, I'll do this very quick set of rapid fires because we have very less time. Tell me, which cooking oil do you use?
Saffola.
No. Any, I thought, I'm talking about olive oil,
Saffola Gold is a blend.
Okay. Have you ordered anything on quick commerce recently?
I didn't order, but my granddaughter was here. At that time, she ordered some chocolates at 10 o'clock in the night.
Okay. What's the biggest threat to Marico in 2025, according to you, sir?
I think we have good enough business in Bangladesh. So if something happens so far it's so good.
Okay.
Something happens there, then we could be vulnerable.
I think you're the biggest listed.
Yeah. We are I think only listed company in Bangladesh.
Only listed company in
I think
Bangladesh.
so. And the biggest also, yeah.
Wow. Is there any interesting application of AI in Marico, sir?
I think it's evolving. AI, you have to start dipping your hands into AI, whether it's AI, whether it's your secretary or whether it's marketing. But I'd see more relevance of AI in marketing and technology development.
Is there a particular application that you've seen?
I have not seen that.
Okay. Tell me a snack that you have which is really healthy and at the same time really tasty also. Don't tell a Marico brat.
Okay. So I like this. I like jalmuri, which you can get from Calcutta,
Okay.
which is kurmura and some you add some onions and potato and dhania and all that. I think that's
Healthy
and tasty.
Okay. Any other thing that you can think of in this bucket? Healthy and tasty bucket.
I think makhana is another thing which if you done well, you eat tasty and healthy.
Okay. Is Marico trying to do something in makhanas also?
We had, but then I don't think we are continuing.
Okay. Sir, we are trying to host Professor Ramcharan, sir. And I think he's coming to India this week. He's already there.
I'm freaking at his.
Yeah. So if we were to interview him, or if you were to interview him, he has co-authored your book.
Yes.
I know that. And you have, he's given you some great advice at some critical junctures. But I want to know, if you were to interview him, what are certain things or certain questions that you will definitely ask him?
I think one thing is I get intrigued by his lifestyle, and he works 365 days a year. He doesn't get tired. I'm wondering, 80, 81 he is, I mean, he can work 12 hours a day, 14 hours a day. So I don't know how he doesn't get tired and how can he go on working 365 days a year. He doesn't have a house, he doesn't have family.
Okay.
What keeps him going?
This is one.
Yeah.
What are some other pinpointed questions that we should that you believe young students should definitely learn from Professor Ram?
I think he's very good in processes. So depending on what kind of processes, new product development process, or in how do you create a culture or innovation, how do you create a culture, how do you improve board effectiveness, these are the areas where we have interacted a lot with him. So you need to be clear what you need.
So this is a stupid question, so please, bear with me. जितने भी मेरे से 5 साल बड़े लोग हैं, when I'm meeting them, I just ask them what are their challenges and lines and stuff. And I'm seeing this common trend where people are losing their hairs like anything. So I wonder if people won't have hairs, they won't apply hair oil. So do you see this as a threat?
To some extent, but I don't see that as a threat because I think on the contrary, if we can convince people to apply oil, then it will not lead to hair loss,
But people, there were some videos that I was seeing that they say that oil is not good for hair, you apply this stuff and that stuff.
No.
No?
No, oil is good for conditioning. It is good nourishment also for the hair.
Got it. Which oil do you apply?
I
Don't tell a Marico brand.
I use Marico only. Why should I use somebody else's brand? Yeah. So I use for my hair in the night one type of hair oil, and I use for styling I use Parachute hair cream.
So tell me, do you think Indian consumption is slowing down and Indian middle class is shrinking? There have been a lot of articles.
Not shrinking, but the consumption is going down because of lack of demand, which is caused by inflation, unemployment, and or not getting necessary increase and people have lost a lot of money in stock markets and things like that. And they also have borrowed money to fund something else, which is taking their monthly budget away. So the consumption is impacting.
How do you see growth in an economy where consumption is dwindling, sir?
That is a big challenge. So I think that's where innovation comes in. Categories where there are opportunities to grow come in. Through acquiring brands like D2C brands, you can get growth. So entering into new categories, in our case, foods, which has given us growth,
Have you figured out categories which are recession-proof, sir?
See, many categories which are day-to-day usage, whether it is oils or edible oils or hair oils, I mean, they are recession-proof because they have to use, but they will curtail a little bit. It's not discretionary. It's every day they have to buy it.
Right. So it won't get affected by this?
No, I mean, growth may not happen because they may cut down a little bit of oiling in terms of quantity.
So I want to learn one thing very specific. What have been your learnings through acquisitions? Is there certain thing that you were not aware of before acquiring so many brands, but after dealing with so many brands, you learned one unique thing about acquisitions?
See, I think in the D2C brands, we have gone through a learning curve, where how do you manage these brands? The whole mindset of what brand stands for has changed because D2C comes up with a lot more innovation. So how do you be far more innovative? How do you become far more agile to move fast like an entrepreneur? So that's the key learning which you had in D2C brands.
Okay. Is there a fact about oil that the majority of people don't understand, but because because your entire business is, your business started with oils. What is one unique insight about oils, sir?
No, oils could be healthy. You have to use them in right quantities and it can have health. For example, organic coconut oil, they use it for good for Alzheimer's and also. I think oiling as such as getting traction, the benefits of oiling, whether it's for hair, skin, or for your heart, or for disease like Alzheimer's and all, it's getting traction that oils play an important role in your life. You can't not have oils, for both for food as well as for personal care.
Tell me a story of competition with of how did you fought your competitions of?
So I think the key thing is you have to evaluate what are they offering versus what you have to offer. Is there opportunities to differentiate? Can you innovate something so that you are superior to them?
Right.
So depending on their positioning and your positioning, what should be different? If they are playing a pricing game, then how do you counteract them in terms of convincing the customer that your product is better if it is truly a better product? So I think a lot will depend on the competition and the stance they are taking in that market. But I think you have to react and you have to ensure that they don't take your market share from you.
So if the competitor is playing a pricing game,
Competitor who plays a pricing game impacts the other weaker players and not the market leader. So to that extent, market leader is less vulnerable.
got
And
it.
sometimes when it's not inevitable, then you have to match the prices also, just to ensure that the competitor doesn't gain market share.
I have so many questions that I have to ask, but I'll respect your time, sir. And hopefully we'll figure out some time to learn more from you. But thanks a ton.